Welcome to the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast.
I believe that pretty much all the problems, if I don't really like the word problem, but the challenges of the world, from climate change to we've got some interesting leadership situations going on. Won't judge them but they are interesting leadership situations. And I think that everything that is suboptimal comes about because people make decisions from a place of pain. How can I avoid my own pain? How can I avoid my own shame? So this is why you get leaders who aren't necessarily working for the highest good of all. They're working for their own interest or to protect themselves in some way. They're trying to protect their own emotional damage. And if we work from a place of where everyone can release their pain, where nobody is in judgment of somebody who's in pain, because I think that's one of the, I'm really encouraged at the moment by the whole movement of mental health issues, that the shame and stigma around mental health, because that's, it's like, if somebody has, I don't believe there's anyone who doesn't have some level of trauma. Some level. And it's not that you've had a horrible thing happen to you. It's that something's happened to you and you haven't managed to, that somehow caused a disturbance in your neurology. And, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't have that to some extent. And then if we judge people essentially for being human, which is, for being human because, they've got problems, then it becomes shameful. And then we have this layer on layer on layer of trying to hide it. And that's where we end up in a right old mess where people make decisions where they're just trying to, like, what can I get with and give the least? And if we could flip that, sorry, you were going to say something.
I was on that thing around the judgment thing. I think, I don't know what your opinion is of this, but the people, in my opinion, that are the most fearful of being judged are the ones that judge the most.
Absolutely.
And when you flip that and go, right, well, let's look at it from a different view. Let's rather than judging them, i.e. in let's say a pessimistic way, let's flip the focus, because where focus goes, energy flows, and just look at what's the positive. What is it that they're trying to do? What is the positive in their intent? Again, a presupposition of NLP, which you'll know, is every action has a positive intention. All right, you might not perceive it positive in your map of the world, but in their map of the world, let's look at it from their perspective and have a level of empathy and compassion and look at it from their point of view and see that. And that's how we can then start judging people less, by doing that, we start to judge ourselves less. That's kind of what I've experienced personally, and sort of a lot of the research and studying that I've done has kind of led to. Do you have a similar opinion on that?
Absolutely. And that one of the things I've noticed in the spiritual community at the moment, it's got to this place where it's almost become sort of toxically positive. And that, that the spiritual community is there's a lot of elements of it and aspects of it that are quite judgmental. And there's actually a really ancient Buddhist breathing technique that has become distorted. So you probably heard the idea, just, taking some deep breaths and you breathe in the positive and you breathe out the negative. That actually got distorted because one of the original Buddhist teachings was you breathe in the negative, you transmute it, and you breathe out the positive.
Alchemy, right?
Absolutely. And you think about, well, so if the whole world is going around breathing in the positive, breathing out the negative, what does that create for the world? It creates a world where, like, everyone's just trying to, get rid of their negative rather than transmute it. And it's like, if we want for our enemies what they want for themselves, which is what everyone wants, which is to be loved, to feel acknowledged, to feel appreciated, the standard thing, to feel worthy, to be themselves, to feel that, to recognize that, remind themselves that they are an aspect of the divine. If we want that for everyone, like if everyone wants that, not just for themselves, but for everyone, including their enemies, then that's where true compassion and true empathy comes. That's when we can get to that place. But I think if we work on ourselves first and heal our own pain, so we're not trying to hide, I'm not perfect. And it's like, I'll gladly say to anyone, I'm really not perfect. I annoy my husband a lot. And he says, for God's sake, go and do some exercise because you're annoying me.
I think that's absolutely bang on, and the incredible film, it always moves me to tears, is The Green Mile. And he does that exactly, doesn't he? I forget the guy's name in the film, and absorbing that in, sucks it in, and is able to sort of to do the alchemy process. And if each day we could all be a little bit kinder, then it's and that's when I think what has been some of the out of any challenge, there will be support, and with what's gone on this last year with the whole COVID situation, the Black Lives Matters thing, it is making people become more aware. And some people are pushing themselves to extremes, and but for a lot of us, we can see the opportunity there and be mindful of that when we're looking at or finding ourselves judging others, because it's ultimately a reflection, right, in some way or another, like we said, as a signal to look at to doing differently.
Yeah. And in that also, it's like, if you find yourself judging others, don't judge yourself even harshly for more harshly for judging others. It's like, oh, how interesting. There I was judging.
You can find the full episodes of the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast here on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, and all other major podcast platforms.